Behind me is beautiful Church Pine Lake, and today Jeremy and I will be out doing kind of the intro sampling, going through that with everyone. And this is the stuff that we do bi-weekly when we do a lake study. Every month we do a more extensive sampling regime, but for today we're just going to show you the basics, which involves the meter that reads the physical and chemical data. Jeremy will go through that, and then I'll go through the Secchi disc, which is another thing that we do every other week when we're out here. Everything that we will be showing you today with the meter and the Secchi disc we'll do on all three lakes. We'll go through them on Church Pine, Wind, or Round Lake, and then Big Lake. We won't go through that on the video because it'll get a little redundant, but just so everyone knows, we are doing everything on all three of the lakes. So let's get out on the boat.
Here we are out on Church Pine Lake, and we are using this multi-parameter meter to test for a variety of things. This actually will read up to 13 variables, not all of which that we use, but you can see this meter is connected to a probe that has several different sensors on it. So we have one for pH and ORP, one for conductivity, dissolved oxygen. This little guy here is for the temperature. And all of these are individual, so you can pull them out. So if you have a probe that goes bad, you can replace it rather than just replace your whole meter. This is just a housing to protect it, and this is a weight, so it drops straight down. So what we can do, we have a 20 meter cable, and we get a reading at every meter, and you get a profile of what the water column is like, which is important for a variety of different life in the lake, from zooplankton and algae to fish, invertebrates, even plants depend on calcium and stuff, so you have an idea of that with some of the parameters on here. So we just put it in at the surface. We can read the meter as soon as it stabilizes a bit, because temperature, of course, affects all of this too, so you have to stabilize that. Okay, so what we have going on here right now is that the dissolved oxygen is at about 7.69 milligrams per liter. So that's at about 90% saturation. And that's pretty good. You don't want to get below 5. Below 5, you start stressing out fish. The pH is 9.88. I'm guessing there's probably a lot of photosynthesis going on out here because the pH is so high comparatively to what it has been. Lake's not very green, so I'm guessing there's a variety of different types of algae, diatoms, green algae, things like that. Temperature is 23.08 degrees Celsius. The conductivity is 148 microsiemens per centimeter. That's a measure of ions in the water, calcium, manganese, magnesium, aluminum, things like that, that can conduct electricity. And then the specific conductance, or actual conductivity, however you want to describe it, is 142 microsiemens per centimeter. What that is the conductivity normalized at 25 degrees Celsius. So it's normalized, so every meter is going to be the same. The salinity is 0.07, and that is pretty low. The measure of salts, so it could be from road salt. Likely in this case, it's just a natural background level. And then the oxidation reduction potential is negative 7.4. So that's basically the ability of compounds to give up or receive electrons. So for example, if we were near the bottom with a negative reading, iron may break its bond with phosphorus and allow phosphorus to be free into the water column. And then the iron may bind with sulfur or something else, depending on the geochemistry going on near the sediment surface. So that's what these read. We'll do a reading every meter. I believe we do 14 or 15 readings on this lake. It's fairly deep. It's about 42 feet right here. And we collect that data and compare it over the whole water year or growing season.
The next thing that we usually do when we're out on the lake is get the Secchi disc, and I'm actually holding the Secchi disc in my hand, and it's just a weighted disc that has alternating black and white quadrants, and that kind of makes it so it's easier to see in the water. And this is one of the easiest and probably cheapest things that you can measure when you're out on a lake. I mean, once you have the disc, which I think is only somewhere between $30 and $60, you can do this reading every week, and once you have done it, it's done. This is also one of the things that folks with the Citizen Lake Monitoring Network use to collect data on the water. They do this along with the total phosphorus and total chlorophyll. So that's another interesting fact about the Secchi disc. And this basically just gives us a measure of the water clarity. So Jeremy was doing the probe, and that was marked off in meter increments, but the Secchi disc is actually marked off in feet increments. And so what you do, and you always have to take off your sunglasses when you do the Secchi disc reading. We've actually found that when you don't take them off, you get a little bit better reading, about a half a foot. So you always want to take them off and then lower the disc down on the shady side of the boat. And you lower it down until you can't see it anymore. And the lake here is fairly clear, and so usually you have to lower the disc down quite a ways. Usually get a little better reading on Church Pine Lake than what we get on Big and Wind Lake. Once you can't see it anymore, then you bring it up to the point where you can see it again, and then that's your Secchi disc reading. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 feet. So that's our reading. I think last week we got 18, so not too much of a difference there.